Hi, I'm Angela Sharpe, and welcome to the Daily Mix. It's good to be back in the STL studios. You know, we've been out and about a lot this recently, so it's kind of cool to be back here. And you know, I can't start off the show without talking about the St. Louis Blues and what a run they're on. They're currently in the Western Conference semifinal against the Sharks right now. Exciting game. We won yesterday. That means we're up by one. Excellent. Now, this is the first time since 2001 the St. Louis Blues have been in the Western Conference semifinal, and the first time since the 70s that they've had the home ice advantage. And I can tell you from being there last night, the place was crazy loud. It was loud during the Hawk season, like that whole series, but it was crazy loud last night, and the fans were into it all at the right times. And I know that from talking to the players that they really love that. That really gets them involved and energized. And of course, it's really cool for the city, you know, to be able to gear up behind another good team. The Cardinals are good year after year, and it's really cool for them to be able to get behind the Blues. So hopefully you're going to the game tomorrow night, and if you are, make sure you say hi to me and hey, give me a Let's Go Blues. Up next, I'm gonna have in a little while Tony West, who is a director of this awesome film we're gonna talk about. Plus, he's a dear friend of mine. He'll be here in just a little bit. So right now, let's get started on today's Daily Mix.
Check it out.
You know, we love to tell you about it anytime St. Louis tops the best of list. And we've topped a lot of them. It seems like every week we're talking about the latest and greatest St. Louis is being recognized for. Alive magazine has been keeping track too, and they recently shared 12 times that St. Louis has made the best of list. And the list is pretty diverse. Busch Stadium has been ranked among the top 10 ballparks. And of course, the Four Seasons downtown was listed as one of the best 21 hotels in America. We're also among the 10 great retirement cities in the US and worldwide. We're ranked #1 on a list of the top 40 rock and roll travel sites. I know, right? Who knew? Now, those are just a few of the great examples. You can find the whole list at alivemag.com. And if you're looking for stuff to do, the Hard Rock Cafe St. Louis third summer acoustic music series recently kicked off. It's happening every Wednesday evening. Now they'll have local bands and musical artists will perform an acoustic musical set right there on the outdoor patio. This summer will feature several returning artists and music ensembles, including Odds Lane, Tim Newell, and the School of Rock House Band, and that's just to name a few. You can find the full schedule at hardrock.com/St. Louis, and the number is right there on your screen if you'd like to make a reservation for this free weekly event. St. Charles Riverfront Arts and the Foundry Art Center want you to eat, drink, and be creative. It's at their Community Arts Series second Thursdays. Now this free event takes place at the Foundry Art Center from 5:30 to 8 on the second Thursday of each month through October. It's a unique family-friendly community arts series that features a variety of artists, live music, and food vendors. You can check out their website each month for a full lineup of artists, food vendors, and who will be playing live that month. FoundryArtCenter.org. Well, we've given you a lot of things you can do Tuesdays, there's Thursdays, Wednesdays, but even Thursday nights, if you're looking to spice that up a little bit, we have a garden-style happy hour. How does that sound? This summer, the Missouri Botanical Garden will be hosting sensational summer nights. You can enjoy flora-inspired cocktails, light music, and live music and light food. There will be crafts, coloring, and conversation. You can also get tips from experts from St. Louis Garden and Plant Societies, and you can always take a tram tour of the Japanese garden. Sensational Summer Nights is designed for adult visitors and takes place 5 to 8 Thursday night. For more information, mobot.org. If you're downtown on Fridays this summer, be sure to check out Lunchtime Live. This is a really cool event. It's an outdoor lunchtime party. It features live bands, food trucks, and of course, great networking opportunities. The concerts will take place every Friday in September from 11:30 to 1:30 at the old post office. Of course, you can visit downtownstl.org for a list of food vendors and entertainment each week. And if you haven't been there, you really need to go. Usually, this last Friday, it was a great Friday. Lots of people show up, and there's always different food trucks and food vendors you can check out. And actually, this last Friday, they even had a little boutique. You can walk inside and do a little shopping. Pretty cool on a Friday afternoon. Do you have a specific day of the week you like to fill up your gas tank? Most people kind of just do it when it's empty. Well, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, you can save yourself money if you fill up early in the week. In fact, it looks like Tuesdays and Wednesdays are actually the cheapest days to buy. The most expensive days tend to be Thursday, Fridays, and of course Saturdays. So if you want to break it down, according to the study, you can save up to 4 cents a gallon if you fill up earlier in the week, and you can pay up to 4 cents more if you fill up later in the week. So just maybe plan that out a little bit. Monday, today, great day, go fill up. There are major renovations to the vacant LaSalle building downtown on Olive Street in the works. According to the Post-Dispatch, a developer for Chattanooga is planning to transform the historic building into a 70, 80-room boutique hotel and restaurant that will likely open in late 2017. This is downtown's third boutique hotel. Now, local developers are also planning to transform the former Union Trust building on Olive into a luxury boutique and apartments on a rooftop bar. The International Shoe Company on Wash Ave will also be getting a new life. A Milwaukee developer intends to put a hotel, ballroom, restaurant, rooftop pool at that former office space. Currently, downtown has 2 boutique hotels, the Omni Majestic on Pine and the Magnolia on North 8th Street, which was formerly Mayfair. So you should probably check those out when they get done. It's always cool to have something coming in to St. Louis that you can kind of check out once it gets revitalized. And it's always nice to keep those old buildings fresh and new. Now, have you heard about this? I know you probably have. I'm not sure how I feel about it. So Budweiser fans out there, when you go to the store, you're gonna have to start looking for a new name on the beer this summer. Budweiser recently announced they're gonna be replacing the word Budweiser with America on the cans, bottles, and packaging. In fact, I just had a friend of mine Snapchat me one of these recently, and it does say Budweiser at the very top, and it says America, like in the same style of Budweiser lighter, like it does right there in the middle. You can see that right there on your screen. The move is inspired by several upcoming events that will leave Americans feeling very patriotic. You know, the traditional holidays, the Olympics, Copa America soccer tournament, all those kind of things going on. America will be on store shelves through the general election this November. It might be cool just to get one of those cans and save it for later, just because it's kind of different. St. Louis nonprofit Launch Code was recently featured in an article that is part of the U.S. News and World Report's STEM Solutions Special Report. The article, titled "Through Apprenticeships, Launch Code Holds the Key to Filling STEM Jobs." It talks about how the group is bridging the gap between openings in technology field and people seeking to work those jobs. Since it was founded in 2013, around 400 people have been placed in apprenticeships throughout Launch Code. And just last March, President Obama named Launch Code as a model when it was announced the $100 million in Labor Department grants to tech workers. You can read the entire article and learn more about Launch Code by visiting usnews.com or, of course, launchcode.org. Circus Flora is celebrating its 30th anniversary this summer. The local nonprofit is bringing fans a new baseball-themed production. It's called Pastime. It's set in baseball's golden era, and the production will follow a struggling ball club and capture the excitement of the game through the Russian bar, Chinese pole routines, and of course the aerial strap, which I think is so cool and always wanted to learn, but never had the guts to do so. Plus, they're gonna have bareback horse riding, acts, and so much more. Pastime will run June 2nd through the 3rd under the big top in the parking lot adjacent to Powell Hall in Grand Center. For more information, visit them online, circusflora.org. Now, this is the exciting part of the day when I get to introduce my awesome guest, and it's even more exciting Because he's a friend of mine. Tony West is
Oh,
here.
Angela.
I'm so happy you're here.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on your show.
I'm so
First
glad
of
you're
all,
here. It's so great.
It's awesome, and I brought you a DVD to say thanks.
Oh, it's so nice. Brought me a DVD. Now, I know about this project because we have been talking about it a little bit. But for everybody out there at home who's listening, the safe side of the fence, what is this about?
What it's about is nuclear workers and nuclear waste in St. Louis. It starts all the way back in 1942 when Mallinckrodt Chemical Works gets the contract to refine the uranium for the first self-sustained chain reaction that Enrico Fermi does in Chicago. So basically, during World War II, when America was trying to figure out how to make a bomb, they first needed to control the splitting of the atom, okay, and just have a self-sustained chain reaction that they could control. In order to do that, they needed tons of refined uranium. Nobody had ever done that before. They went around to a bunch of big, typical chemical companies. They all declined because it's kind of a dangerous job. And our St. Louis owned Mallinckrodt Chemical Works stepped up to do that job. They did a good job. They refined that uranium. They sent it to Chicago. The self-sustained chain reaction was successful. Then they went to New Mexico, did the Trinity test, and dropped the bombs over in Japan. So St. Louis is really key to the success of World War II, but those workers, unfortunately, became some of the most contaminated workers in the history of the industry. So it's about what happened to those workers, and it's also about waste, because once they refine that uranium downtown, and then the Cold War begins, and we need to have a bunch of other bombs. Mallinckrodt refined the uranium for those bombs also at a plant in Weldon Spring, which is kind of the St. Charles area. So a lot of waste that they generated while they were processing that ended up spread around St. Louis. So a lot of people in St. Louis will hear about, Westlake Landfill, Coldwater Creek, Weldon, or downtown, or even Venice, Illinois, and they're all connected. And I think sometimes people, if you live in Weldon, you're focused on that because you're like, hey, there's some waste right here in my neighborhood. Or if you live by Coldwater Creek, you're concerned about that, which is only natural. But a lot of times people don't realize that they're all connected. And so that's what I wanted to do with this film. Is a couple of things. I tried to do a lot in this film, but one of the things I wanted to do with this film is tie all these stories together so someone could just sit down and just learn all this history. And so it doesn't just stay in 1940s, it comes all the way to modern day. So I compare safety in nuclear plants in the 40s to what's going on right now.
Right now.
And also I compare how they dealt with waste back then and how they're dealing with it now. And they're not as different as I think a lot of us would hope.
Would have hoped for,
yeah,
right.
We still have a lot of challenges. So, I mean, workers are a little bit more informed about, the dangers of working around these materials, but a lot of times when someone's having health issues, a lot of times, as you'll see in the film, they're told to you need to keep quiet about that if you want to keep working here, which is really kind of the wrong attitude. You would hope that someone say, oh, there's a safety problem out here. Oh, really? There's a safety problem? Let's get on that. Let's make sure that's not the case. And so the other story that's in here, like I said, there's a lot going on. This film is really broken down into two major parts, workers and waste. And the other part that goes along with the workers is a woman by the name of Denise Brock, whose parents worked down at Mallinckrodt. Her father died of cancer working down there. So what ends up happening is a compensation program is introduced. It's a very challenging name, but it's the Energy Employees Occupational Illness Compensation Program Act, which is a ridiculously long name, but that is the name.
Right.
So this woman, Denise Brock, who's from St. Louis, basically sees something about that on television. I think she was watching one of the local stations and says, oh, my dad worked down at Mallinckrodt, and so did my mom. I'm going to apply for this compensation program.
Right.
And so she does. And even though this is a great program, and we need a program like that, it's very challenging for workers to get through. And Denise Brock discovers that and just says, you know what, this program is really messed up. I'm gonna take this program on. So basically it's just like one woman from St. Louis that nobody's ever heard of who decides to take on the United States government in this program, and she's amazing. So a lot of times when people see this film, they're like, how come I haven't heard of this woman before? She's like,
right.
She's from St. Louis, and you know, she's very modest. And when I interviewed her, you know, she was just talking. Yeah, I filed my FOIA request, and blah 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 blah. You know, very,
right.
you know, and she's not like, she's very modest, you know. And so I had to go back and I do my research, and I when I put 2 and 2 together, I come back and I say, Denise, you're really a big deal. You really
taking on something like that would be a huge.
It's a huge deal, and so her story is incredible. It's a story of her, and so it doesn't really just stay with St. Louis, because this compensation program has paid out $200 million in the state of Missouri, but it's paid like $800 million to like Colorado. It's paid out almost $1 billion to a state like Ohio, Washington with Hanford, $1 billion, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, $2 billion. The total compensation of this whole program is like $12 billion. So there's over 300 sites in across the country. And so, unfortunately, there's no shortage of places for me to show this film. I've been to Los Alamos, I've been to I'm going to Hanford, going to Colorado. I've been out by Fernald, where those workers are, Kansas City, Las Vegas, you name it. I've been like all over. And everybody who sees this film, all of those workers feel like, that's my story. It's a different plant.
It's a different plant, but it's a very similar story.
Very similar.
I think we have some B-roll of your film. Why did you even get the idea to make this?
That's actually.
That's not your film.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're showing. That is an owl.
Yes. That's actually a commercial I did for the bird sanctuary. So that's super awesome.
That's cool. I mean, we can segue to other things you've done, but
all right.
Why did you want to get back into this? Why did
I do this?
Yeah,
why did I do this project? Because I'm really like a television cameraman that does sports and stuff like that for
Which is why we're best friends.
That's why we're best friends, you know. You know, I didn't know anything about this history. I grew up in St. Louis. I never heard about any of this stuff.
Right.
And when I started to interview these workers, they're just super nice people. You know, a lot of them are up in age, you know, because of that era.
Right.
And, you know, they're like, they welcome me into their house and like, oh, can I make you a sandwich? You know, and they're just super nice. And then they have these horror stories. And so, you know, you're sitting there, you're listening to them, you want to help them. And what can I do? I'm like, I don't have like a lot of money. I'm not a famous person or anything, but I do have a television camera. Right. I know how to shoot and I can edit. And so I'm just gonna try to tell her story. And it took me like 5 years to make this film. I started in 2010 and I finished in 2015. And so because I had to work on this film.
Right, you had to go around and find the people, interview the people, get everything together.
And work around my paid job. This was like not a paid Not a paid job.
He acts like his paid job isn't a lot of fun. We'll get there in a minute. You got something coming up with this film, though, in June. We're showing this, right?
Actually, in July, in Granite City, July 9th at the Granite City Cinema, you can see this here. Because basically, I'm on the road with this now. I showed it in St. Louis maybe 6 or 7 times here. And now I've been showing it around the country. So I'm showing it in Granite City at their cinema. And I'm showing it at the Missouri History Museum October 13th. But if you're like, hey, I really don't want to wait that long, I need to see that film like right now, right. You can go to the safesideofthefence.com, which is the website, and you could get the DVD. You
can get the DVD, watch it now.
Mine will be signed like to Angela. But
right. I have an autograph on mine.
That's right.
The safesideofthefence.com is on your screen right now. You can check that out. And of course, you can always go see it at Granite City if you want to. Check that out.
Right.
Or of course in October, kind of see it with some people.
Yeah, the Missouri History Museum.
What is that like for you, knowing that you made this? And it's going to be at the Missouri History Museum, and that's a big deal.
It's super surreal, really, because this is like the first film I've ever made.
Right.
Because you know what I do. You know, it's like, you just kind of start a process, and you don't really know where it's going. I mean, it ends up here. But these people are very passionate. There's the thing about this film and why it's been so successful across the country and just not in St. Louis is these people's stories just haven't been told.
Right.
I mean, and they're not really bitter about it. Like when I interview them, I mean,
and you would think they kind of would be. A little bit.
They kind of just want the government to admit what they did to them. Because they're like, I went to work, to protect this country and to feed my kids and stuff. and I got sick. And I don't like being sick, but I just want somebody to say, hey, we did this, and then move on. That compensation program is important because, obviously, if you get cancer, it just drains you. It just and it drained Denise Brock and her family, so she didn't have money to go to college, and then her family is it shows in there. It's almost destroyed, like a lot of people's families are. You're really struggling. You have the breadwinner is just is gone, and you lose that person. So when I meet people, when I meet these workers, they're just like, thank you for telling my story. And if I meet a lot of kids of workers, because a lot of workers have passed away.
Already passed away, right?
And people walk up to me and they say, thanks. Now I know what my dad did.
Right.
Because, in that era, you didn't really talk about, it was like, I am the dad, you are the kid, you go to school, I go to work, and they didn't really discuss it. They just know that their dad or their mom got sick. And so they didn't really know about that history or what their parents did, what they went through. And so they're really passionate, because I do a Q&A at the end of each screening.
So you can check out the screenings or get a copy, thesafesideofthefence.com. And you're so serious here, so just real quickly, what's the cool job you do that actually, like your paid job? What is that cool job?
The paid job is I'm one of the camera operators for the St. Louis Cardinal broadcast for Fox Sports, or the Blues, where I see you all the time.
So you get to see all the fun sports games.
Yes.
And then he has this serious side, which is very serious. So you definitely need to check that out, thesafesideofthefence.com. Tony, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm so
I
happy.
appreciate it.
I've been trying to get him to come for such a long time. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can always drop us a line right here, The Daily Mix at stltv.net. We want to hear from you. Anything going on? Keep us in the loop. Now that's going to do it for The Daily Mix, but keep it right here on STL TV and experience St. Louis. See you next time.